Come on, mi gente. Look, you already know what time it is, man. EPL Premier League weekend recap. Let's waste no time and let's get right to it. First game was on Friday. Forest versus Sheffield United. And look, Forest started off really good with a very nice header goal from Awoni to give him a 1-0 lead. Forest would look very nice by creating chances, it's just they couldn't finish. Morgan Gibbs-White also had a very good game trying to create and do all that good stuff for the team. But overall, Forest looked very good in creating stuff, but they just couldn't score. Gustavo Hammer would hammer in a very nice goal from outside the box to make the game 1-1 and give Sheffield United the tie. Forest would score later on or a few minutes after, but the referee on the side would say, nah bro, it's offsides, and they was counted as offsides, and the game would still remain as a 1-1. Both teams would have good chances in the second half, but it wasn't until the 84th minute when Christopher Wood would get subbed on and legit score, I want to say like 4 or 5 minutes after in the 89th, 90th minute to give Forest a 2-1 lead, and basically the game. Forest would take a 2-1 lead. Sheffield had not enough time to, at least tie the game, and Forest would take home the dub and the very important 3 points that they need for this season. In our next game, Fulham versus Brentford. There was an early error pass from Fulham that will land into Wisa's feet for him to legit round the keeper around the box and scored to give him a 1-0 lead. I find this kind of crazy because Tony, we know Tony is out because of that gambling problem that he caused a few months back. But this is back-to-back games where Wisa is able to score to give Brentford a lead. Later on in the game, there will be a double yellow for Fulham defender Reed, getting him out the game, and also a penalty for Brentford. This time, Mbemu would convert from the penalty box, also just like Wisa, scoring back-to-back goals, giving them a 2-0 lead. However, that wasn't all for Mbemu. He would also score towards the end of the game, giving them a 3-0 lead, and eventually the victory. Big 3 points for Brentford. And they're looking pretty solid right now, I'm not gonna lie. Fulham, hopefully they could bounce back next week. For our next game, we have Liverpool versus Bournemouth. Liverpool will start off the game very badly with a disallowed goal from Bournemouth, but legit like a minute 30 seconds after, Bournemouth will actually convert and give them a 1-0 lead. Liverpool's defense looked very bad in the beginning, and it seemed like they were gonna lose, but Bournemouth would score. Liverpool will slowly bounce back into the game. One of Liverpool's first chances was a very, very nice header from Van Dijk, who hit the post, narrowly missing the goal, but he almost scored. And Liverpool, like I said, they were slowly getting back into the game, even though Alisson did get a yellow card, which was horrible because I have him in fantasy. Liverpool was slowly getting to the game with a very nice goal from Luis Diaz, from a very nice pass from Diogo Jota to make the score 1-1. There would be another chance with Salah making a run with a nice pass from Luis Diaz, but Salah just wasn't fast enough and couldn't get a good touch on it. Could have been 2-1. Salah's looking for his goal. He just couldn't get it. Then there was a bad chance for Rothwell that would give Liverpool a penalty. And not a very good day for Brazilian goalkeepers because Neto would also complain to the referee and he would also get a yellow. But Salah, he would take the penalty. And, Salah, most of the time he converts from the pens, right? But this time Neto saves it. But Salah did get the rebound to give Liverpool a 2-1 lead. Trent will also have a good chance before the half by dropping a defender, but he shot and it just didn't go in. I said this before, Liverpool's attack can be very dangerous and it showed in this game. Once everybody clicked, they were very hard to stop. But later on in the game, McAllister would go for a 50-50 ball with Ryan Christie, and Christie would actually get a touch on it first. And I think McAllister should have gotten maybe a yellow, but the referee actually gave him a red and he was sent off. But like I said, Liverpool's attack is very dangerous when they all click together. Szoboszlai is able to feed that attack and he actually had a very good shot. It didn't go in, but Jota was able to get the rebound to give Liverpool a 3-1 lead. New Japanese signing that Liverpool just signed from Stuttgart for 20 mil, Wataru Endo, would also make his debut in the 63rd minute. But yeah, good win for Liverpool. They just need to focus on their defense, and like I said before, once they click on defense and click on offense, they're going to be a very, very tough team to stop. For our next game, we have Brighton versus Wolves. A very incredible run from Mitoma, cutting through Wolves defense, looking like prime Messi out there, to give Brighton a very good start with a 1-0 lead. But to open up the half, Estupinian, who's been playing very, very good, will give Brighton a 2-0 lead. Right after a very nice pass from Enciso to March to make it a 3-0 lead. Like I'm telling you, Wolves' defense was horrible this game. Brighton, they were just killing them on defense, or on offense, my bad. And Wolves, it's like they had no one back there to tell them, hey, like line up like this or stay strong like this or you cover that. Their line just looked horrible. There was just so much space for Brighton to attack, and Wolves, very horrible game for them. Brighton, I think this is 8 goals now in 2 games, which is incredible. I think they sit on top of the league right now. But yeah, Brighton, they dominated this game. And not long after the 3-0 goal, they would make it 4-0 again, Martian and Cecil. And I think Hani Chan will come in for the sub, you know, try to stop the bleeding, you know, but obviously nothing. The game was basically over at this point. Hani Chan will score to make it 4-1. Very, very nice performance from Brighton. And yeah, they sit on top of the league right now. For our next game, we have Manchester versus Spurs. For the first half of this game, both teams look nice, but if you want to give a slight advantage to one team, I think you probably could have given it to Spurs. They hit the woodwork twice for a very good chance to score, but that woodwork, I'm saying, they hit that twice and they just couldn't convert. There was one point where I think there should have been a pen for Manchester United. Garnacho's shot actually hit Romero's hand, and the referee would say no pen. I think he even waited for VAR for the confirmation, and they were like, nah, no penalty. In my opinion, I think it was a pen. It clearly hit his hand. It's not like, you know how sometimes like, oh, it was unintentional. I mean, he clearly had his hand out, and I think it should have been a pen for Manchester United, and I think maybe it could have converted this game into something else than what the final scoreline was. But no penalty for Manchester United, and I think that was a bad call from the referee. But the damage of goals would come in the second half. Spurs saw it would give them a 1-0 lead, and just like how I said in the Wolves game, United's defense is just horrible. They got exposed, this time maybe in front of more people, right? I don't want to say national TV, but their defense, it sucked. I don't know what it is. They looked horrible in the second half. Spurs, they look like a very good second half team compared to the first game as well. United looked bad on defense. Spurs were able to cut inside, make passes inside their own box. Can you believe that? Inside their own box. United's defense just looked horrible. And then Spurs, Ben Davies would also score again. I believe it was an own goal, or it was deflection from Lisandro Martinez, who's also been playing horrible. And Spurs will take a 2-0 lead. By this point, it was over for Manchester United. Ten Hag had taken out Mason Mount, who also looked horrible. He looked so bad on the field. He also took out Rashford. Rashford looked frustrated on the bench. But yeah, they got exposed. Everyone now saw how bad United's defense is. I don't know what it is. You can't blame Harry Maguire because he's not even playing. You know, he might leave. But United's defense, horrible this game. We'll see next week if they could, you know, look different. Because that first game, even though it was a win, I think Wolves should have tied that game, or maybe even won that game too. United's defense look horrible. They got to step it up. In our next game, another Manchester, this time Manchester City versus Newcastle. Now, I said this was going to be the game of the week. Did it live up to the hype? Not really. My predictions, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Compared to my predictions, nah. Like, I thought it was going to be way better. City are just a whole different team. For the most part of the first half, City were just attacking Newcastle. Newcastle were just sitting back defending. Obviously, that's all you could do when you're going up against Haaland, Julian Alvarez, Foden, who looked amazing this game as well. But they had to sit back and defend and try to counter. But City, I'm telling you, City's a whole different team. It's crazy what City is. But Julian Alvarez would get the first goal around, I think it was the 30th minute. Newcastle looked nice. I'm not gonna lie, even though they lost, even though the game wasn't 1-0, they look nice. They're creating chances. They look good, but compared to the first game, nah, they just look good. They didn't look amazing like the first game. I could actually say Newcastle were actually the better team in the second half compared to the first half, where City were the better team in the first half. Newcastle looked better in the second half, and they were actually making City defenders work, and Ederson as well. But like I was saying, Newcastle would have a good performance, but it just wasn't enough. City would take the win and the 3 points. And let's just see if City could keep this run going. I believe it's 17 consecutive, I think, home opener winners or something. I don't know. Home opener wins, something like that. City just look good. Let's see if they keep it up. For our next game, Aston Villa versus Everton. Villa would try to bounce back from a horrible week 1 against Newcastle, and they would actually dominate this game. They had complete control of this game, and their captain John McGinn would actually give them a 1-0 lead. Not long after, Pickford would actually try to challenge to grab the ball, but he actually hit Watkins, and he got a yellow for it, and also a penalty, which Aston Villa also converted, to give them a 2-0 lead. Everton, realistically, they had one major key chance to score to try to, tie the game or change the momentum for them, but they couldn't convert. Only one key chance in the first half. Villa dominated that first half. Everton were looking bad. And we all know teams can sometimes bounce back in the second half, but a very bad error from Everton's defense to Bailey, who would convert to make it 3-0. And to top it all off, another Everton mistake to make it 4-0 in the 75th minute. Aston Villa looked good. They're converting their chances. Everton looked horrible. Let's see if Everton can bounce back next week. They play Wolves, who is a weak team recently. They looked good in the first week. Second week, they got smashed by Brighton. So let's see if Everton could, probably get a tie, maybe even a win next week. And for our next game, one of the two London derbies that happened this weekend, West Ham versus Chelsea. It took West Ham only 6 minutes to get a 1-0 lead over Chelsea. And at this point, Chelsea were looking pretty bad. I know it was early in the game, but they were looking bad. Shortly after, Chelsea would have a good chance, but was ruled offside. Chukwuemeka would be dancing in the box, dribbling around, and he would strike with his right foot with a beautiful goal to make it 1-1. Chelsea were looking good on offense, but defensively, they were still a little bit shaky. In the second half, both teams were looking good. They were creating chances, but it wasn't until the 53rd minute when Antonio shot a rocket into the bottom right corner, and it looked like he was complaining. He put his hands up, but I don't know if it was like a little tactic thing, but he shot that thing with power, and he was able to make it 2-1 for West Ham. New signing Caicedo would also make his debut, subbing in around the 60th minute for Chilwell, who, compared to last week, had a slow game. Last week he looked very good. This week he was looking a little bit different from, compared to the performance he had last week, which is pretty good. However, West Ham would get unlucky when Aguero would get a double yellow, leaving them with 10 men and potentially Chelsea to attack to make it a 2-2 tie, or even potentially get the win with a 3-2, or whoever knows how many goals they would have scored, leaving West Ham with 10 men, Chelsea having a chance to score, but they just couldn't convert. It was bad that Chelsea couldn't convert, even though West Ham had 10 men, but even horrible with the new debut of Caicedo, he actually conceded a pen, and Paqueta was able to smash it in, and then West Ham would get a 3-1 lead, and it was just over for Chelsea at this point. Chelsea, they couldn't do anything offensively. Even though West Ham had 10 men, they looked horrible on defense towards the end of the game, and that's it. West Ham took the dub. Chelsea looked bad, even though there was some glimpse where Sterling did look nice, and he was connecting with the offense. It's just that they couldn't finish, and they couldn't make chances, things like that. But West Ham, they took the dub. Good 3 points for them. The first London derby done. Let's move on to the second. And for our second London derby, and also the last game, we have Arsenal versus Crystal Palace. This time we were in South London where Crystal Palace would host Arsenal. Now look, both teams were creating very good chances in the first half, but if you want to give it to the edge, I think you probably could have given it to Arsenal. They were creating more. Crystal Palace sometimes had to sit back and defend, but Crystal Palace did look nice in the first half, trying to create some chances. However, the only goal would come when John Stone, goalkeeper for Crystal Palace, would actually commit a foul to Nketiah, who was chasing a very, very nice put ball, where Nketiah was running. Johnson was trying to come out and grab the ball. He was too late, and he actually hit Nketiah to cause a penalty. Odegaard would get into the box, and he will smash it into the bottom left corner with a very nice pen taken, and the only goal giving Arsenal a 1-0 lead. Throughout the game, there was very controversial calls from the referee and from VAR. Tomiyasu getting a double yellow, getting sent out, and also Ese, who was fouled in the box, which I think should have been a penalty for Crystal Palace. Very controversial calls. I think this weekend, horrible refereeing throughout the games, and that penalty that could have been given to Crystal Palace from the SA foul could have changed the momentum for both teams on this game, because Crystal Palace looked nice, Arsenal Palace looked nice. It was a very nice game for both ends. Very low scoring game, but it was a very good game when you were watching it. But yeah, bad refereeing, horrible VAR decisions, just bad weekend for referees this week. The game would end 1-0, and look, Crystal Palace did lose, but they look good. They have highly talented players. It's just they're missing that one piece, someone like a striker. Not even, it could be an elite, it could be a world-class striker, elite, right? Striker who's there, who could convert when they need goals. If they were creating their passing around, it's just that they couldn't have a shot. They didn't have no Edouard. He's okay, right? But he's not elite. He's not world-class. They need someone up there who could create goals for them. The whole time, Arsenal's defense is good. They can't get a shot off because their defense is good. they're creating chances and they just couldn't convert. So that was horrible for Crystal Palace on their end. They gotta sign somebody, you know, highly talented players. We seen with Zaha, a very talented player, and they couldn't do anything with him. So, I mean, they just need an elite striker at most, and I feel like they will be a very, very good team, and they could contend with like other teams, high teams in the Premier League. They're just missing that one piece, in my opinion. Good win for Arsenal, challenging win for them, but they got the win, easy 3 points. Let's see if they keep this form going. You know, battling with City and Brighton, who also look good as well. Okay, that would wrap up this EPL weekend recap. Look, I am sweating. I'm hot as fuck here. It's hot where I'm at right now. So if you see that looks like I'm sweaty, dude, it is so hot right now. I don't want to turn on my AC because then you guys won't be able to hear me on the mic. But like, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please remember to leave a like, comment, sub. And I'm going to be coming out with that EPL predicts. I hope you guys are ready for that. I think I only went wrong in one game. I'm hyped for that. I'm going to do the video tomorrow. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you guys and have a good day.